Hello everyone, my name is Cap, and welcome back to the channel. Another 7 Days to Die video. I'm doing all this in Alpha 16.4 on the PC. This should work on consoles for the most part. May have to make a slight little different adjustments here and there, kind of based on your setup and what all is available. Now, wasn't that long ago I did a video testing out log spikes and the theory that having them rotated upside down did more damage than upright. Well, we proved that to be false, but the main reason people like to have theirs rotated around upside down is just because it keeps zombies from bobbing around up and down. They can actually stand right on top of it here. Yeah, I took some damage doing that, but just to prove a point. And so that's the main reason why people like to have them upside down and buried in the ground. But that also brings in the conversation that I had with a lot of people about a really good way to defend your fortress using a lot of spiky pokey things. And that's what we're going to call this special trap. So let's clean up a little bit of an area and I'll show you what I mean, and then we'll test it out and see how it works. Alrighty then, so what I've done is dug out a 14 by 14 hole and filled it up with a whole bunch of steel log spikes. Now, of course, if you're going to be doing this, steel log spikes aren't the most resource-friendly way to do this. You could use just reinforced log spikes or, scrap iron log spikes or whatever you have available. I'm going with the top tier ones just for the sake of this test here, but I got a little 14 by 14 hole, and now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to place barbed wire all along the top of this thing, all the way around it. And then we'll add a little bit of an extra element to it once we get all the way done with this as well. So let's get all this put on here, and we'll move on to the next little part of it. Alrighty then, so we have a row of barbed wire fencing all the way around all 14 by 14 squares here. Now, one of the arguments that was gone back and forth with is you could use just regular wood spikes on the top of these instead of barbed wire. Wood spikes tend to do more damage, can cripple, break off legs and have them do some more damage, versus barbed wire does damage and slows them down. I decided to go with barbed wire on this one, at least for the first part of this test, to see how it would work out, because if it slows them down enough and they're standing on top of the log spike here, then they're going to take damage from the spike itself and from the barbed wire, and they have quite the little fortress to have to get through before they'll be able to get to me in the center. So we're going to try it out with barbed wire on top of the spike first and see how it handles and against a horde, and then we may try it out with the spike traps at the top, just the regular wood spikes, to see if one seems to perform better than the other. Alright, and as an added bonus here, I added a line of electricity going all the way around the outside layer of this thing. I didn't want it to go all in the inside layers of this because it'd be kind of a pain to do it, but on the very outside layer, so when they first run into it, they're going to have a log spike to deal with, upside down, some barbed wire, and some electricity to deal with, and then I just put a couple spotlights up here so when we're testing it against a nighttime horde, we'll be able to see them a little bit better than just what my mining helmet can light up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a couple nurses in here to help us out, good old Sylvia and maybe her niece Brittany, and see if they do anything at all, even get close to this. Now, I know one of the earlier concerns people are going to have with this, per se, is, okay, well, once you have a bunch of corpses and bodies laying around, how do you loot them? Well, that's an entirely different problem. That is something you just kind of have to figure out on your own, because you can't stack stuff on top of it here. So you could always perform a pit underneath this thing to where you could have walking spaces with some like quarter-sized blocks to be able to get underneath it and do that if you want to. This is just a proof of concept. If you were going to do some sort of wall outside your base, whether or not this would work or not. So let's go ahead. We'll start off. We're going to get we'll get Brittany. Make sure she's looking at us. We'll get just one out here for now. Make sure she's coming right for us, and let's just see what happens. All right, I apologize in advance for this, sweetie, but we got some science to do here. Okay, so she's already lost a leg. She hasn't even made it to the first. Okay, she's in crawl mode now. She's definitely not having a good time. I feel so bad for her. She has not even made it past the first set of barbed wire yet. Let's see here if she's taking much damage. Let's see. So she's sitting at 134, 131. So it's slowly whittling her way down as she sits there forever crawling along. She's barely taking any damage. The height of electricity, I don't think she's even got to it yet. Let's just go over just a little closer and see if she's managed to make it under the wire. Then see, she's not even actually running into the wire yet. You can see, let me get my wire tool here so you can see where the actual is with the blinking wire here. See, you can say it's run right over the top over here. So she's slowly taking damage, but she's not really doing anything to anything that's here. So let's see, this one barbed wire I see here. Yep, so she broke the first one. So she's doing a little bit of damage to this one by herself. Come on, you got this. How you doing here? Let's check and see her life. 79, 78. So it's going down about 1 at a time. It's definitely not doing a whole lot. So this may or may not actually work against the Horde, because it'll slow them down for sure, but she's not taking a ton of damage. So this methodology might work better if we were using the actual spiked log traps here instead of just the barbed wire, because that way it's doing damage, but they're not being, you know, stuck in place for so long. Let's see, she's doing some damage to this one. I can repair that as I'm going here, of course, but I'll have to replace the one that she broke back there. The, you know, wood spikes that I'm using are steel spikes. They have 10,000 durability, so I'm not worried about them being broken over time. So since she's made it past that first line of electricity, she's doing good with the army crawl, and she's definitely ready to head out for SEAL training. Some special fortress. She's doing a good job of crawling underneath all this sort of stuff here. So we'll let her die, and then we'll reset. We'll get a Horde in here and see what actually happens, just for funsies, and then we'll try it with some log spikes and see which works best. Alrighty, so we foolishly are stuck out here in the middle of this little bitty 2x2 island here in the middle of a blood moon horde. We can see we are currently hunted. They are coming in from the side there. See, Brittany's first off the bat here. We got her friend with her. A couple more coming in that direction. Seems like they're coming in from the southwest. Okay, so limbs are already being broken. Alright, we got big dude over there. There's a bunch of Brittany's. Here comes Roger. There's Marlene. We got some school teachers showing up here, so they're trying their best to make their way through this. So we got an army crawling competition so far. See anything showing up from behind us? No, not really. I'd have the Magnum here just in case I need help out. So they're all getting crippled. Now they're all doing the shovel. None of the barbed wire fence parts have actually been broken yet, but I can definitely see that none of them have been electrocuted. So the next time I try this, I'm going to raise it up a notch so that they run into it as soon as they get here. But for the most part, they are not getting here very quickly. So if you were using this particular method to try and protect your base, you're pretty much going to be okay. I mean, they can't seem to get here very quickly. It's not like, you know, you can't take a small nap, fix a sandwich, and then wander in and be like, oh, okay, all right, I see you there. I'll have to put you out of your misery. You know, you can totally take your sweet time when it comes to dealing with these. It looks like that one finally died. Let me see, Brittany died right there. We got another one ragdolling around there. So they end up kind of hitting each other a little bit and taking small damage from the spikes themselves. Go ahead and miss you real quick. There's Mo off to the side there. So for the most part, this seems like a pretty good defense against the initial size of the Horde here. There's Big Mama. She's going to show up to the party and corral all the kids around. But you can see they're still 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks away from me. They're not getting any closer. Okay, we've lost our first row of barbed wire over there. Big Mama is down. The group over here is definitely not getting any closer too. So, I mean, as long as they keep piling in over here, eventually they'll start breaking apart the actual barbed wire itself. But they still have to get quite a bit ways in here before they can start doing a whole lot. And like I said, if you're really, you know, needing to, you could just take out a couple with a shot as they get in. So this is definitely a way to kind of fortify it a little bit as you add extra defenses to it. Big Mama's doing some work on them traps, so I'm going to go ahead and clean her up a little bit. But for the most part, this seems like it's a pretty good defense. So we're going to let this one kind of play out here. I'm not necessarily calling this one a success or a failure, because they will get here eventually if the Horde's big enough. You get in a big 64 zombie Horde, you know, way late into the days, and you got some cops spitting at you and some dogs and some bears and all that sort of stuff. And they're definitely going to get to you. So you have some work on your hands to be able to clean up the mess afterwards. But we'll get through this Horde, get everything kind of reset, and I'm going to switch everything over to some log spikes, redo the electricity a little bit better, and see if it works any better than the barbed wire does. So let's try it out and see what happens. Alrighty then, while I'm finishing this up right next to the base here, I'm doing some regular old wood spikes on top of the reinforced steel log spike things here. Now, if you happen to be noticing in the very first test of this video that the electricity wasn't on, and so my reasoning why it wasn't working in the first place, it's totally not because I shocked the hell out of myself and turned it off and then forgot to turn it back on before the Horde happened. No, it just malfunctioned. That's what we're going to go with now. We got a couple little bit of extra ones that are sticking up because I got a little overzealous in the stacking here. Now these don't have the highest of durability. They're not super, you know, durable, but this is the highest level they're going to go. So yes, I'm in fly mode, and yes, I'm in creative mode because this is testing proof of concept. This is not something you would want to do for an actual... Ow. Great. Ah, stop it. Stop taking damage. Okay. There's the challenge with dying. Oh, good lord. Okay, repair this one down there. There we go. Okay, good to go. We got a couple stragglers sticking up at the top, but it's okay. So yeah, this is proof of concept to see if this would work for the outside of a normal base. Of course, if you're going to use this sort of setup, you're not going to have just a little square here in the middle that you're going to stand on top of. That's just stupid. This is testing proof of concept of whether or not if you could do a 3 or 4 wide wall all the way around your actual base, and of course you'd have an exit route in and out. You could dig a tunnel down here, a little escape hatch up in the hills, and call it good. But for the most part, this, like I said, this is just proof of concept to see if it'll actually work or not. And so we're going to go ahead and skip the random test by Sylvia. She does a good job, but she's still trying to recover from the last one. And so what we're going to do is just fast forward straight to the nighttime horde, the 7-day horde, blood moon horde, however you want to word it, and see what they do. We can see that the electricity is on this time. I did go ahead and leave it in the ground. That way, once they start falling and land on it, they will continue to get electrified. So let's fast forward and see what happens. Alrighty then, we are coming up on the magic hour. Got the lights on over there, got the electricity on still. Let's see, we are now being hunted. We have that cool little glow from the sun over there. I wonder if they're going to come from the same direction or not. Let's see here. Where are they going to come from this time? Got some scary lightning. There they are. Okay, alright, so we got Skater Punk Dude showed up first over here, so coming in from the east, there's Sylvia. Hey, she showed up for work then. Mo's going to run right into these. So as you can see, it is not slowing them down nearly as much as the original barbed wire did here, but as they start knocking down those first level of spikes and they start hitting that very first level of stuff there too, then they will, you know, start hitting the electricity a little bit more too, and that'll slow them down some. Here, anybody coming in from the backside? No. So you can totally see they are wiping out the traps a little bit faster with the wood spikes than they are with the barbed wire, like I said, but it is still killing them a lot faster. They're not just sitting here grinding right away, you know, losing a limb and then trying to army crawl towards me. They aren't really making it that close to me. Now, there's a bunch that'll have to be repaired. And, of course, like I said, if you get a cop in here, if you get a cop in here, he is definitely going to cause some problems, because as soon as he starts running in there, he'll start spitting at you and just doing a whole bunch of damage. And, you know, I'm assuming dogs and stuff will probably wouldn't be able to make it any further either, but, you know, you got to deal with them. Sometimes they glitch, and who knows, they probably hop right over the top of the logs coming at you. But you can see you're going to end up having to do quite a bit of repairs and replacing of crap after the nighttime ends and stuff. I mean, so far, this is doing a decent job of slowing them down. The bigger zombies that have more life are definitely going to take longer to kill. We got Mo and Big Mama crawling along there. I think we got... I'm not sure who you are. You're just kind of sneaking in along there. So this is not the most advanced way to do this trap. Now, if there was a way to be able to stack like barbed wire and log spikes and wood spikes and stuff all together in one little cluster, that would definitely help out, because you could hold them in place. But for the most part, you can only do one or the other. If you stack one on top of the other, it automatically falls and collapses here. So, all right, we got a dog. All right, I always like seeing the dogs get nice and wrecked, because the number of times that they have wrecked me themselves. So this seems to be doing okay. We're just going to hang out here and see if they actually get to us or not. We'll see what happens. After you've killed so many zombies, they do kind of stop spawning in for a little while. So we'll see if we can survive the night. We'll see how it goes in the morning, see where we are here. So, be right back. And that lovely sound means we made it to morning. You know, after that initial grouping of Horde, there was only like 4 zombies that showed up the rest of the night. You see, there's a whole lot of bodies over there. But they didn't really get any close. I kind of hung out right here. I didn't do anything. I just sat here and watched them occasionally. After the initial grouping of about 30 zombies showed up and did their thing over here, you can see there's a pretty good sized pile of zombies over here. So if this was an actual setup you were using, you'd have some spikes to have to replace and some, you know, some corpses to have to clean up, of course. But for the most part, this general concept of being able to have just wood spikes on top of log spikes and calling it good, having them upside down like that, it seemed to work pretty good. I didn't have to fight for my life or anything. Nothing made it here, and there's a bunch of dead bodies, so I would call this a successful way. Again, this is not a base I'd recommend, just having yourself surrounded here. There's no way to get out without flying or, you know, getting really lucky. And so this is more or less just testing the concept of whether or not using upside down log spikes with spikes on top of it, throw in a little bit of electricity and use it as kind of a barrier around your existing base will actually work or not. And it completely does. So I appreciate you guys, you know, sticking with me through these kinds of tests. Of course, suggestions like this, keep them coming. I love seeing these kind of things. I do keep a list of all the things you guys suggest for me to test out, and, you know, we'll get to them. Some of them we'll redo when Alpha 17 gets here, just because, you know, the way mechanics will change. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up, call this one a pretty good success. If you have any questions, you know where to leave those. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button down below. And be sure to subscribe if you're not already so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you guys so much for your time. You have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.